added support because academia can be difficult. We're going to go around, and I guess we're going to start with this row. Okay. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Kiara Martinez. And talk a little bit about my major.
You have about 30 seconds.
I'm in digital music, and I plan to graduate Hostos 2021.
And why did you join the Leadership Academy?
I joined to gain more leadership experience because I plan to be a sound designer for the spring semester. So I'd like to have more leadership roles when I'm doing the play.
Awesome.
My name is Nicole Martinez. My pronoun is she. I joined this because they said that they would provide scholarships and job opportunities, and I kind of like want leadership experience. Awesome.
I love that folks are modeling it and they're standing up to speak. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Michelle Bridge.
You don't know
That just speaks for itself, so I'm just going back to school after 20 years. Student nursing, there's kids are grown, everything, and I'm here. I got I've never been in college, so this is like a major, like, milestone for me. So I'm just here to see what all of this is about. I've never experienced this. Good luck, everyone.
So I came here because I'm trying to go to concerts. I don't know, like, I've been, so I just want to, like, someone to guide me and their life, and their life is awesome.
We're going to get ready together. Sure.
Okay, my name is Tanya. I'm still my pronoun is she. And the reason why I joined the leadership academy is because I want to gain more experience because sometimes be a social worker and I feel like it's very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Leadership Academy, right?
My name is Estrella Gomez. Basically came to Leadership Academy, so I learned more leadership skills. Pretty damn good at it. That's what I did, and also so I can be a better role model for my kids.
That's right.
My name is Anthony Puma. I'm here to gain more experience from years.
Yeah.
My name is Kristen Crusco. I'm here just to see what it's all about and gain more experience with leadership.
My name is Don Peroso, and I'm here because it was referred to me.
Yeah, that's real. Me too. Someone invited me.
Hi, my name is Gabriel. I'm going to live next semester, and I came here because I received an invitation, so this is my first time, so let's see how we go.
Oh, let's see how this works. No, we're in a long-term relationship. I graduated in 09 and I'm still here.
I'm a Bob Chowdhury, and I'm just here to experience something.
Excellent.
Hi, my name is Elisa Bush, and I'm a digital music major at the Leadership Academy, and I want to challenge myself to try new things, get
Excellent.
My name is Joshua Ortiz. I'm a liberal arts and science major. I came to the Leadership Academy to acquire leadership skills.
Excellent. Welcome.
My name is Nibenam. I'm in business management, and I'm taking like an invited, and I want to see how it is going, and instead of saying go, I'll come out and meet more people.
Yes. Excellent.
Hi, my name is Zoe McElveen, and I am a graduate student at King School of Public Health and Masters. And I'm the vice president of the student government there, and delegate for USS, so I was here.
Welcome. The auditors, y'all.
Hello, hi, my name is Lori Martinez. I'm a liberal arts major, and I joined the Leadership Academy because I want to gain more experience with leadership skills and also volunteer services. I'd like to give back to my community a lot.
Yeah, very quick.
Hi, my name is Naveen. I'm a registered nurse, retired for 4 years, and I graduated back in 1991, and I'm an alumni.
Oh, welcome.
Hi, I'm Marvel. I'm here because I want to gain on knowledge and
My name is Anthony. I'm an alumni of this school, and I'm an upper senior at John Jay Green Law Society, and I joined the academy because of bond.
Because that bond.
Pretty much.
That's real. Let's turn on this one.
My name is Anya Monte, and I'm here because I got the invitation. So I never know what it's about, so I came here to understand a little more about to serve in the community because
off to serve people. I love it. So then maybe this is a good idea to be part of the system, this community. Thank you.
My name is Celia Figueroa. My major is OT, Office Technology Medical Office Administrator. This is my second time in the workshops, and I try to lose my fear to sing.
Great, you're in the right place to practice.
My name is Maurice Bautista, and I'm here because they invited me, and now I have a new interest to learn something new, so this is why I'm here.
And you learn about rock, paper, scissors.
My name is Shane Roy. My major is business management. I've been in Hostos basically my entire life because my mother's a graduate from the school. If it wasn't for my mother and her full testing, Hostos wouldn't be here right now because back in 1989 we were going to close Hostos down. So with her leadership skills, she brought it to me. So I'm going to get back to everyone in Hostos. Yes.
My name is Imani. I'm a computer engineer. I joined the academy to teach them learn how to apply to leadership roles. My name is Victor. I drank leadership to learn more skills.
My name is Brian. My major is real life technology. And I joined the leadership academy because I just felt a calling, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to give back to my community. To help people become more leaders like myself. You know what I'm saying?
Hi, my name is Jose de Leon. I will graduate in mathematical field, and I hope to learn more how to lead kids or teenagers, how to develop them to be better persons.
My name is Nasu. This is my first time. I joined the Leadership Academy.
Hi, my name is Selim Seren. My major is undertaking. I joined the Leadership Academy to develop rules and policies about the corporate organization. Because I am one of the organization, one of the non-profit organization actually. I want to know the rules, the policies, the bylaws, everything. To develop my research.
My name is Daquan. Hi, my name is Daquan. I have a liberal arts major that I will complete next semester. And I joined Leadership Academy because I was invited to the workshop and everything. Yeah, I just want to learn how to apply myself to different leadership roles because I'm not much of a leader, although I do have aspects of leader. I just want to, be more well-rounded.
Yeah.
My major is electrical engineering, and I joined the leadership, well, got an invite, and I was also in the leadership academy in my high school, so but you just can keep going.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. Round of applause. When I was invited, there was no leadership academy. I'm one of the founding members, the first iteration of the Leadership Academy, so it brings me great joy not only to invite you all or to welcome you to this first of many sessions that we'll be participating in, but also into what is the Leadership Academy. Leadership Academy is our community. It's a family. It's a place where you will be stretched, where you will be challenged, where you will be exposed to diversity, different themes, projects, activities, and people. I love to look around in a room and see such diverse faces. It brings me so much excitement because it is truly representative of the communities in which we live. It is truly representative of New York. Which brings me to our next slide, right? What is authentic leadership? When we think about leadership, I like what the gentleman in the back said. Remind me your name?
My name.
Yes? Daquan. Daquan said, I'm not a leader, but there are aspects of leadership that I possess. And that is absolutely true. We are taught whether it be in classrooms or in programs or in academies, that you are a leader. No. And that may be controversial or contrary to what you've been told, but I coach folks all the time who are saying, I'm ready to run for city council, I'm ready to run for state senate. And I said, that's wonderful, you're not ready just yet, right? We all possess leadership skills, but in order to be leaders, it means that we have to own something. There are issues that we care about that we are willing to carry. So there's a difference between leadership and leadership skills. And when we talk about leadership, for the purpose of this workshop, we're going to be talking about authentic leadership. And so we define authentic leadership as those who own the solution. It's very easy to say, you know what, I take issue with this in my community. I don't like how the school system is. The taxes are too high. Tuition here is way too high. What happened? They were supposed to drop it in 08 or whatever. And yet don't necessarily take the steps necessary to do something about it, right? So let's not, whenever you identify a problem, you also need to identify the solution, or at least propose a solution. Be willing to brainstorm a solution. Solution driven by those closest to the issue. So what does that mean? That means that those who are the most affected by the issues are the ones who are taking on these issues. And that is one of the key principles of community organizing, for example. Community driven. That means that the solutions that are being proposed are reflective of the needs and input of constituents. That is not to say, I'm going to come here to Hostos and tell you what you need in order to develop your skills. Community-driven means that I am being informed by your needs, by your input, by the things that you tell me that you need, right? And values-driven. What does it mean to be values-driven? Anybody want to take a stab at it? Yeah, could be your morals, right? So what are the things that I say that I care about? What are the things that I say are my priorities? What are the things that I say are deep-rooted in my identity, and how do I lead with that, right? If I say that one of my values is truth, how do I lead with the truth, right? And so I challenge you to brainstorm and think about your own brand, but also your own values, and how does that show up in your day-to-day? Whether you're interacting with a professor, a fellow classmate, or here in the academy, or in your community. Really use a clicker. And I say that to say because when we think about leadership, or who our representatives are, we sometimes prescribe or have preconceived notions of what it takes to be a leader, or who are the people who should be leaders. And one of the things I liked about Ocasio, regardless of which affiliation you are a part of, is that she says, I felt like the only way to effectively run for office is if you had access to a lot of wealth, high social influence, a lot of dynastic power, and I knew that I didn't have any of those things. And so what I appreciate about Ocasio, or AOC, Alejandra, is that she completely changed the face of leadership, or at least changed the process for running for office, right? She says, I'm going to take a grassroots approach. I defy the odds. I am not the person that folks thought I should be in office. And the only reason I'm showing this is because she was a representative of folks who have had to challenge their own disbelief, their own preconceived notions of what it takes to lead, their own negative rhetoric that goes on, all these negative voices that play in our heads that tell us that perhaps we're not ready yet, that perhaps it's not our place, that perhaps how dare we, how bold are we to think that we can take that next step. So I want you to take a second and think about what are those bold moves that you want to take, but you have talked yourself out of. You don't have to share out, just take a second to think about it. And as you hold on to that thought, I want you to realize that there are two different types of barriers. There are very real barriers that are physical, that are historic in nature, that are systemic, right? And then there are perceived barriers. And I want you to really think about how we are going to tackle both the physical and the perceived, the real and the imaginary. Because living in the Bronx, right, we have very real challenges. There are health factors, right? It has one of the highest asthma rates, right? All of these isms, right? But then there are all the things that we tell ourselves that we can't take on. This is too much, this is too big, I'm just one, I'm Paul's there, so I'm gonna go back. Let's switch gears. We're gonna talk a little about New York City as the landscape. So New York City landscape. New York City is one of the most is the most populous city in the U.S. with 8.623 million people reported in 2019. 1.1 million public schools students. That's roughly 1,800 schools. That's middle school and high schools. 4.6% of our population live in public housing, and that's around 600,000 folks who live in public housing. And that's a guesstimate because there's only roughly around 400,000 that are reported, but we know that because of the census process, right, and because of certain migratory status, some folks don't report. So that is a city's guesstimate. 12.4% hold Section 8 vouchers in New York City. According to the most recent ACS, the racial composition in New York City was white, 42.67%. Black or African American were 24% of the population. Other races, 15%. Asian, 13%. Two or more races, 3.51. Native American, 0.43. Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, 0.05. And why do I bring these stats up? Just to really highlight how diverse our society is, which means that our issues are going to be diverse. What's the look of shopping in your
I don't see Latino.
Oh, yeah. Other race. Could be other races, but this is how it's reported, which is also alarming, right? The way that we categorize other, right? The way that we categorize. Yeah. So who runs your city? Can anybody take a stab at who runs New York? Huh? You're damn right. Excuse my French. But who else? Who are our representatives in New York City? Well, okay, New York City.
No.
We got de Blasio. Who else? Well, maybe. If you want to talk cash money. Yeah. So yeah, it's not J-Lo, I found out. It's not Cardi, and it's not Beyonce. Don't tell my sister that, because she will. Jay-Z, baby. The New York City government is centralized. And what that means is that it has a strong mayor and council system. New York City government is known for its highly centralized government structure. Much like the federal government, is divided into three branches: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. The mayor has the executive branch and is responsible for all city services, enforcement of city and state laws. The city council is the legislative branch and is responsible for proposing and revising bills. The council is comprised of 51 elected officials representing different districts within the 5 boroughs of New York City. And the judicial branch is made up of the various court systems present in all 5 boroughs. Pop quiz. I wasn't ready. Who's the mayor of New York City? Show a hand, or just shout it out so I don't look at
What's the question?
the mayor. I'm trying to find out. All right. Who is your Bronx Borough president?
Ruben Diaz.
All right. All right. Who is your city council representative? Oh, okay, hold on. I don't know where you live, so you can lie to me. All right. Who can tell me who their city council member is? Help me. What does Ruben Diaz do? Other than take pictures with old ladies. I didn't say that. What does Bill de Blasio do? He runs the city. Does he? What does that mean?
So, he work together with the big department of the city, all the departments that are working for the community.
So he oversees
from the
departments, yes.
Fire department, the health department, the
Okay.
police,
Okay.
and
This is
the
true.
department to
He's running. If that guy's running the city, what does Jason do? All right, y'all are good sports. All right. I'm on. This is a New York City org chart.
Wow.
And at the top, I'm supposed to have a clicker, Jason, and a pointer. This is less sophisticated than I was prepared for.
I can be your clicker.
Give me a ruler. At the top, it's supposed to say we the people, right? We have here the mayor, the comptroller, the borough presidents, who oversee community boards. I don't see what that says, but those, the city council, and the different city agencies that report to these different bodies. And Jason's going to give you all a handout of this. Wonderful. So Mayor Bill de Blasio is your mayor. The public advocate is Jumaane Williams, who's a Democrat. The comptroller is Scott Stringer. The 5 borough presidents, well, there's 4 there. Good job, Giselle. What am I missing? Brooklyn. Didn't happen. And this represents the executive branch. This guy, we all know who this guy is. That's Mayor Bill de Blasio. Now, Bill de Blasio, that's a great picture, y'all. The mayor is the public face of city government and often speaks on behalf of the public, even when we don't want to. The mayor appoints all heads of New York City departments, as you mentioned, right? And officials not elected by law, and has the power to remove appointed officials. The mayor is responsible for overall effectiveness of city government and operations, and the mayor submits an annual budget to the city council to fund these programs. Now, the New York City budget is something like $92 billion, which is ridiculous. You're shaking your head, right? Because it is more than some like states or multiple states. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? So in other spaces, the city council is not as powerful, believe it or not. In other states, the city council position is a part-time role. In New York, they are very well paid to ensure that folks have this as their primary and only source of income, but also because their responsibility is just so great, right? Legislation created by the New York City Council does not become law until signed by the mayor, and the mayor holds veto power to reject legislation. The New York City mayor serves terms of 4 years, and is term limited to 2 terms. And you will see that when politicians run out of terms, they start finding creative ways of staying in office. That's why this man decided to run for something else. My guy, Jumaane Williams. Jumaane Williams is the public advocate. Anybody care to read up top because my throat is getting hoarse? Yes.
The Office of New York City Public Advocate is a citywide elected position in New York City, which is first in line to succeed the mayor. The office serves as a direct link between the electorate and city government, effectively acting as an ombudsman, a watchdog for New Yorkers. His term is 4 years.
Yes. Welcome.
That's your clicker.
Oh, that's fine. My clicker, ladies and gentlemen. Who's this guy? Scott Stringer, former Manhattan Borough President. Who's going to read the next stanza? Yes, go ahead.
The comptroller is responsible for auditing the performance and finances of city agencies, making recommendations regarding proposed contracts, issuing reports on the state of the city economy, marketing and selling multiple bonds, and managing city debt. The comptroller is elected citywide to a 4-year term and can hold office for 2 consecutive terms.
Yeah, that's our guy. That's the guy that makes sure that our, people aren't embezzling funds or that our programs are properly funded and all that other good stuff. These are the folks, it's his office that conducts audits of city agencies, of offices of elected officials, whether because we want to see the efficiency of a program or because we are investigating fraud, right? Your guy. The Bronx Borough President, I just have a picture of him because we're in the Bronx, right? The Bronx Borough President advises the mayor, comment on land use items in the borough, advocate borough needs in the annual municipal budget process, appoint some officials and community board members, and serve as ex officio as members of various boards and committees. Borough presidents are currently elected by popular vote to 4-year terms, and can serve 2 consecutive terms, 4-year terms, sorry, and can serve 2 consecutive terms, so they can serve up to 8 years. And for a long time, folks didn't really know what the borough presidents did, or what, what they do. Their roles have changed. The power of the borough president is soft power. Their ability to liaise between agencies, their ability to network and build community. In New York City, because they have say over how land is used, that makes them very powerful. They cannot introduce laws, but if they propose a bill, they can do so in partnership with a city council member who can then bring the bill to the floor.
They're not a part of the city council?
They are not a part of the city council. There are like many mayors of each city, and that is something that is very unique to New York. What they do is they appoint members to advisory committees called community boards that are made up of about 50 volunteers. And the reason why this is important is because these are the folks who are the watchdogs on the ground level who really know the nooks and crannies of the city, who bring about local level policy, who really know what is going on, from how many schools are shutting down, to how many teachers are calling out, to how many cracks are on the sidewalks, how many trees don't have tree guards, to how many garbage disposals have not been emptied out, right? The legislature. Who you see here is our city council. The gentleman in the middle is the speaker. The city council processes bills by a simple majority that are sent to the mayor, who may sign them into law. If the mayor vetoes a bill, the council has 30 days to override the veto by 2/3. It may seem like I'm rushing through this, but we'll review it. Speaker Corey Johnson. This is our new speaker of the city council. The speaker is elected by council members and leads in setting priorities, passing laws, and directing public money for the benefit of New Yorkers. This is the top dog in the city council. You want to get on this person's good side. If there are things that you care about, that you want to advocate on behalf of in your community, this is the person who you want to talk to, because he's going to make sure that some money is allocated to it, right? So as we think about our elected officials, one thing that I want you to keep in the back of your mind is that elected officials will say, or even folks who are politicking, who are campaigning, will say that they care about a lot of things. I say, show me the budget. Put your money where your mouth is, right? If you really want to know what a member of anybody really stands behind, look at the committees that they sit on, look at their attendance record, look at the bills that they proposed, and look at their budget. What are they actually funding with the monies that are allocated? Community boards. This is longer than I expected. So once upon a time, I supported community boards. Because I worked for the borough president, it was my responsibility to create a process by which members were vetted, recruited, and appointed. Community boards are local representative bodies. There are 59 community boards throughout the city. And each one consists of up to 50 unsalaried members. That means you don't get paid. So what happens when you don't get paid for positions? Usually the folks who can afford to be in these roles are older, wealthier, black. Board members are selected and appointed by borough presidents from among active, involved people in each community, and must reside, work, or have some other significant interest in the community. That was a new change that was made to the charter, because once upon a time, folks were appointed to these community boards, had direct access to local elected officials, and when we audited, we realized, dude, you don't even live here. Like, you don't go here. Like, how are you so involved, right? And what used to happen, what does that say? CUNY too? Oh, wait, they changed it in CUNY? I don't know, I missed the cue, boss. Each community board is led by a district manager who establishes an office, hires staff, and implements procedures to improve the delivery of city services to the district. While the main responsibility of the board is to receive complaints from community residents, that's wonderful, they also maintain other duties such as processing permits for block parties, street fair. Many boards choose to provide additional services and manage special projects that cater to specific community needs, including organizing tenants association, coordinating coordinating neighborhood cleanups, programs, and more. The reason I am emphasizing this so much is because we really underestimate the power of our local community boards. This is a hub of power where members of the community usually represent one or more organizations. These are folks who are well connected, who are well networked, and once a month they get face time with every representative from New York government. And that is everything from state assembly to borough president to Congress. Every month, a representative from these offices are expected to report back to the community about whatever it is that they're working on. If I go to a community board meeting this month and I tell my congressperson I am taking issue with X, next month I expect them or their representative to give me an answer to my question. And so if there are things that you care about in your community, this is the place where you want to voice those things. And these are folks who advise, folks in leadership at the community board are the ones who advise local state assembly representatives, local city council members, local borough presidents. When any elected official is thinking about a particular issue, their first question is, what does the community board think? And also there's just mad gossip. There's always drama when little people play no game. I want you to pull out your cell phones, iPads, or any kind of device that you may have. And I want you to visit this website right now. You have 5 minutes to pull up your city council representative and your community board. Once you have that, I want you to dig a little deeper and find out what committees do they sit on? Are they a chair of any committee? And what legislation have they sponsored? We're going to give you 5 minutes. Time is now 11. We'll be back at 11:05. And if you come across any tech issues or any challenges, just let me know if you have any questions.
Has power.
Just don't charge. You good? Yeah, charge.
So, make sure it's not something that's always. It's going to have power.
Okay, I tried it over there. Okay, I don't know, I got an extension.
Okay.